Okay, let's get the solution for this one here. So for the mode, I'm looking for the most common value. So I've got a frequency of 24, but that's not the mode. The mode is the value that is the most common one, which is 2. And the range, they range from the smallest number of books is 0 to 15. So in my solution, I can state that most common value, which had the frequency of 24, was 2, and the range is going to be the highest number 15 minus the lower number 0, so the range is 15. Okay, then for the other 4 measures, I need to simply enter the data onto my calculator. Those where I have to do midpoints. So for this category here, 5 to 9, the midpoint is going to be 7, and for 10 to 14, I'm going to enter 12. I'm going to go into 1var mode on my calculator, enter the data from the table, and then it's just a question of reading off the values. So I've entered my data, press AC, go into option 1var calculations, and from my first screen I can get the mean that I'm going to need, which is 4.2, and from my second screen I can get the SX, there it is, 3.907, I think that says, and we've got a Q1 of 2 and a Q3 of 4 and a median of 3. So all I need to do is write all of these answers into my template. So the median was 2, the interquartile range was 4 minus 2, which is 2. The X bar was the mean, and that was 4.2, and the standard deviation we saw was 3.907. 3 significant figures should be enough, but I've given 4 there, which never does any harm. So now we get to the interpretation part of the question. Why would we prefer the median and interquartile range to the mean and standard deviation? Well, sometimes you just talk about outlying values, but that doesn't really apply here. What does apply is the fact we have group data, so we had to, there was a clue here, only estimate the mean and standard deviation because there were unknown values, whereas the median and interquartile range turned out not to be affected by these. So we could get the known exact values for median and interquartile range, whereas the mean and standard deviation were just estimates. So we write that reasoning into our template. And then for the second part of B.E2, why would we prefer mean and standard deviation to the mode and the range? Well, we just don't like the mode and the range because they're only based on, the range is only based on the very highest and the very lowest, and the mode is just a very crude guide because it's just based on one item of data, the most common one. So we like the mean and the standard deviation because they use all of the given data. So there we go. I mean, you can say other things like, if we were going to find a confidence interval later on, then we'd want the mean and the standard deviation for that further analysis. But this simple reason is all you need here. Okay, we've got a library. Each member is allowed to have up to 15 books. We've got a table showing how many books 95 members do have. So we've got numbers of books, and then we've got how often that number crops up. So we've got frequency data, and we want to get the mode and range and median and interquartiles. So we're recognizing this is a measures question. And my calculator is going to be able to help with a lot of this, all right? But for the mode and range, these are ones I do directly from the table. So the mode is the value that comes up most commonly. So I've got the frequencies here, so I need to find the most common one. But remember, the answer will be a number of books. So the answer will be, you find out, use the bottom row to find out which is the most common one, but the answer will be a value from the top row. Okay, and similarly for the range, we want the largest number of books and we want the smallest number of books. Okay, so and then we take those away. All right, so as long as you haven't got frequencies of 0 on the bottom, these numbers, we're just interested in saying were there any books in that category, and then you find the highest number of books from the top row, take away the lowest number of books, and that should be 2 easy marks. So your solution for this will just appear like this. The mode equals, you just state the number, and for the range you show me the highest number of books, take away the lowest possible number of books, and you get me the answer for the range here. That's your first 2 marks. Now the other measures I need in part A, median, interquartile range, mean and standard deviation. My calculator will help me with all of these. For the median and interquartile range, okay, these groups of data could potentially be a problem. But since they tell me I can work out the median and the interquartile range, okay, I'm probably expecting the median and quartiles not to be in these groups, but I can watch out for that. So how do I enter this data into my calculator? Well, looking ahead towards where I have to estimate the mean and the standard deviation, these groups where the data has been put together in a group, I need to find the midpoints. So you're going to need to set up mid points just for these two groups here. And those are going to be the x values you put in your calculator. Make sure your calculator is in the correct mode. We're not doing correlation or regression, so when you go into stats mode on your calculator, okay, and press 6, you need to make sure that you're not using correlation and regression, which is y equals a plus bx, but we're just doing some measures for one variable, so it's mode 1. So you enter your data table into your calculator and read off the median, the two quartiles, which you then have to take away. Say what the quartiles are, because there'll be method marks for that. Okay, and then state the mean, x bar, and the standard deviation, sx. So your solution template is going to be, for the median, you're just going to state its value from the calculator. For the interquartile range, you're going to take Q3 from your calculator minus Q1 from your calculator and tell me the answer for the interquartile range. And then in the next part, you're going to tell me x bar equals from your calculator, and for the standard deviation, make sure you pick out sx and tell me what that is from your calculator. And that altogether was 10 marks on this paper, which is incredibly generous. Now for the last 2 marks, we need to give various reasons. So in the first one, okay, we need to talk about why the median and quartile range are preferable to the mean and standard deviation for summarizing the given data. So there's a bit of a clue there that we need to talk about the actual nature of this particular data here. And there's another clue here. Why did we only have estimates of mean and standard deviation? Okay. So it's to do with these grouped values here. So you need to make really quite a specific point here. There are general reasons why medians and interquartile ranges might sometimes be preferred, but here they want you to talk about the effect that's going on here. Okay. And then in the second part, okay, why would we prefer the mean and standard deviation to the mode and the range? Well, these are general reasons. Generally speaking, we don't like the mode and range very much, and you've got reasons for that in your notes. So that's all I can really say without completely telling you the answers. So do a little bit of research. I don't think you'll find it hard.